I think the simplest way to sum this matchup up is we have a technician versus a well-rounded power striker, right? I think it's fair to say that. But the big X factor, in my opinion at least, is going to be the grappling right here. Viviane Araujo, last time I checked, she's a black belt, right? Good on the ground, good takedowns, muscles, built, strong. But Alexa Grasso, on the other hand, I think she has filled into this 125-pound frame. This is the most success that she's had thus far, like definitive success at 125 pounds. Do you think that Viviane Araujo has any real shot at getting this job done if it goes past round 3, round 4, if we're heading into that round 5 territory? Alexa Grasso, I think she goes the distance. Araujo, I think she can get it done early, but this is the big test. So what do you think?
Man, I like the way you're looking at it, a long-term fight versus a short little powerhouse, absolute energy dump, because that's Viviane Araujo, and especially in those early rounds, Derek, I'm with you. That's where she's most dangerous. But I see it the same way you do, man. That tactician, Alexa Grasso, really pumping the gas 4 and 5 in those late rounds, man. I agree with you. There's the literally Araujo's chances start to dwindle the further the fight goes on, but don't ever doubt her, because this is a crazy fight for the semifinal spot you're talking about, man. Very back and forth the entire time I was breaking this one down.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it depends on the way the wind is blowing and how you're feeling that day is who you're going to decide who wins this fight. Because if we're looking at the money line, I just don't agree with it. Minus 210 for Alexa Grasso, plus 175 for Viviane Araujo. Now, we have seen Alexa Grasso get tested before in the grappling, and there's been times where she didn't fare too hot. But as of late, I mean, her takedown defense has been very underrated, but her offensive grappling has also been very underrated. I'm worried, though, here, AJ, and the reason why is because I think Viviane Araujo is a powerhouse. Like, that's the whole entire thing. Like, at the end of the day, man, it doesn't matter how technical, how skilled you are. If somebody can grab a hold of you, kind of like Rogerio Bontorin, for an example, very stacked for his weight class, right? And when he grabbed hold onto Brandon Royval, who we'll be talking about in just 1 second, he was able to really keep that man in his control for a couple different rounds, right? So, I mean, Araujo could stack up points that way, but if this stays on the feet, it's still going to be close. And that's kind of the whole point here. So what gives you the most trouble right here in terms of like looking at it and saying, you know what, man, I just don't really know if X, Y, or Z is going to impact how this fight is going to play out. Like, what gives you the most worry on either fighter's side?
That's an easy one for the Araujo side, Derek. You mentioned already, man, powerhouse. This girl is absolutely powerful. In the short realm, it's a very big pro, but in the long term, it's a con as well, man. Is she going to be able to dump that gas tank? I got like 4 notes for Araujo, man, and 3 out of the 4 all say powerful. You know, powerful, scrappy in the fight, very powerful wrestling, likes to be that pressure power fighter, man. And on the other side, Alexa Grasso, I always wondered it's the opposite side. Since she's a tactician, will she be too calm in there? Will she be worried about getting knocked out? Will she be wanting to go a 5-round distance fight, but in that make it boring and be less aggressive and therefore losing the actual fight to Viviane Araujo? There's a lot of X, Y, and Z factors that go into this, man, but I think a lot of this game is going to be that chess battle fought in those middle rounds, and how those, you know, the rounds 2 and the rounds 3, how those really predict. That's where we're going to see who wins this fight. Whoever wins those middle grounds, those battleground kind of rounds, that's who I think is going to win this fight. And that's what swings it for me, man. Do you see it the same, or you see it as something different?
I think that's pretty fair. I mean, that's more or less of a fair analysis. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a very high stakes, high level main event that we have right here. And I can understand people siding with Alexa Grasso, man. She has shown to be the real deal. But at the same time, I just see Viviane Araujo, and I can see a lot of different ways for her winning this fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see a lot of different ways. But when it comes down to just being technical, right, and just picking somebody apart for 5 rounds, you have to watch out for that bomb. One thing that we've seen from Viviane Araujo, especially recently, remember that Andrea Lee fight where she just got punted in her face, man, and just like stood up, took it, ate it on the chin, and then did a blast double and fucking poured her over her shoulder? That's what I'm saying here. Grasso can hit you with something clean. She can hit you with the clean check hooks and all that good stuff. But Araujo can go Hulk mode, you know what I mean? And I know that's a weird thing to say, especially when we're talking about a fight, because anger doesn't ever win you fights, but tenacity does, heart does, determination, you know what I mean? All of that stuff does. But in terms of like X's and O's, we can kind of talk forever about. Literally, we have the technician versus somebody who's still very technical, but just a different level of technical, more powerful in their technicality, I guess, if that's what you want to say. But let's talk about emotion. here, because I think that this is the last key to the subject before we jump into the wagers right here. Emotionally, man, for you, when you look at this fight, similarly to, I think, how a lot of the card that we're going to talk about next week, UFC 280, there's going to be a lot of fights that are going to be very close that it's going to have to be a gut call. In your gut, right? Like, if you look at this and in your gut, first time you saw it, who did you immediately side with?
Immediately off the bat, Derek, I sided with Grasso, and then the more and more I watch film, Araujo looks dangerous. But like I said, immediately Grasso. What about you?
I mean, for me, it's Grasso simply because I'm a big fan of her. I've watched her career and her progression, and I've been more invested in her career than I have been in Araujo's. But then when I started, so it was like my gut, Grasso. When I started to think about it, I was like, I don't understand how Araujo is such a big underdog. I really don't get it. But tell me why in your gut. Why, with your gut, did you feel Grasso should be the favorite here?
Well, one, I always lean towards the name value that Alexa Grasso's kind of put forth. As far as the work she's done in her career, Grasso kind of holds a little bit more water here in the 125-pound division, where Viviane Araujo is more of a, not necessarily a growing name. She's kind of already grown into her right where she stands, but less of a pronounced name, at least for me, because I agree with you. Grasso is a very a fun fight as a tactician. She still has a little bit of a dog in her. And then I think that's really what it comes down to, for me at least, that name value that's been going for quite a while. Because, like I said, the more and more film I watched, Viviane Araujo is also quite very much that dog in her too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, I mean, for a lot of those same reasons, I like Grasso, but the main reason is because of how technical she is on the feet and her ability to actually incorporate grappling, not just defensive, but offensive grappling. Because if she could take down Viviane, I mean, who's to say where that goes from there? Do I see that happening? Absolutely not. I think that probably wouldn't even be in her best interest, but I mean, it is what it is, man. So I like Grasso, you like Grasso, but if we're talking about a live dog, are we talking real live dog for Araujo, or do you think, yeah, she can win it, but I don't really see it there?
No, this is a live dog, Derek. This is very much so a live dog. So much so, I almost changed my pick last second, man. Last like 30 minutes, I've been watching more Araujo films, going back and forth. This is a very interesting one. I agree with you. This underdog, or the favorite line, money line, should not be this. It's not even that drastic. I'm just saying it should be a little bit closer.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So once again, my philosophy for this fight, Alexa Grasso, she can take it over the distance. I think that would be her best path to victory. For Viviane Araujo, we all know round one is her best round, right? I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, but she is very effective in that first round. So Grasso has to survive. So can you get out of round one, and can you drag it to round 5? And if you can get there, I think Grasso can get something done here. But AJ, let's talk real fast, man. Let's talk about the betting line right here, not just the money line, but the actual props, right? The thing that stands out clearly, man, look at the odds that they're giving Araujo. Plus 300 for a decision, and let's just say she's not just this knockout fighter who's knocking everybody out, submitting everybody. Lots of decisions in her UFC tenure, right? She's looking for her first knockout. I do believe so. But plus 300 for the knockout, plus 900 for the submission, which is also just like, what? And then plus 1,600 for the TKO. Prop-wise, Araujo is not getting much love. But look at Alexa Grasso, minus 125 for that decision prop. That, I don't know, this whole entire numbers, when I'm looking at this matchup, I'm like, I can see that for sure, but I can also see Araujo winning a decision here. You know what I mean? So like, I can feel the love on the decision, but what about that submission prop for Araujo? What do you feel about that plus 900?
That plus 900 for Araujo, that's actually when you were talking and breaking down the betting line for all of them. I mean, that plus 1,600 is just insane, because I could also see that one kind of happen, like a random knockout. So if you're ballsy enough to put the plus 1,600 down, kudos to you. But that 900 submission for Araujo was looking a little bit more juicy, especially for the live dog status and how often we see rear naked choke finishes, where it's more of an exhaustion tap than anything. And that's Araujo's style, man. Put the pressure down, put the foot on the gas pedal, and get it going. That plus 900 is very juicy if you're an Araujo better.
I think so too, man. So now, I mean, ultimately it's time, brother. How are we going to see this happen, right? I like Grasso, you like Grasso. Now the question is, are we going decision here? Because let's be transparent, right? To the good people, this is part of the contest that we're doing. Not really, right? But it's part of the show, right? We're going to give you the prop bet that we like. Would I suggest you to bet on minus 125 for a no, of course not. If anything, you know what I'm saying? Just like take the minus 210 and just be safe and just like, have a day with it. But like, that's too specific. Minus 125 for a decision. I don't like it, but I'm going to take Alexa Grasso by decision. Now, obviously, that means it's the over, right? But AJ, over and under is 4.5 rounds, minus 225 for that over. So how you seeing it?
minus 225 for the overs, what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, Derek. I'm with that. I mean, and that same thing, minus 125 for the decision. It's not as much of a solid given as a couple of the other female decision fighters we've seen on this show. But I'm with you right there, man. Alexa Grasso by decision is what I'm taking as well.
All right, fair, man. So those are the betting lines for you. That's the odds that we got. Those are the things you need to go cash to the bank. But here's the big point right here, folks. Once again, number 5 versus number 6. Very similar in terms of not necessarily skill set, but just like where they've been in their careers. But honestly, the winner of this could face the winner of Chukagian versus Furo, and the winner of that could face Valentina. So this is high stakes, high implications, and there's a reason why this is going to be your second women's main event in a row, right? We had Dern versus Xiaonan, and we had a pretty massive upset in that one, brother. So I'm just saying.